Beware Maria. Maria talks about music making, about community, about spirituality, about dramas, about people and their stories, about her story. Stories that can be related and all part of our shared and incomplete memories. Maria finds it odd to talk about herself in the third person, but such is Maria. Beware. Welcome one more time to Beware Maria. And today is not just Maria, we got Amelia and Elisa with us. And I'm very excited about this prospect. Amelia and Elisa, I don't know if shall I give your surnames or it's just your names? Just your names.
Fine.
So we are Maria, Elisa, and Amelia. So Amelia, can you give us a bit of an introduction about you?
Sure. Related to the topic, to what we're here to talk about today?
Oh, what we're here about. I shall.
Well, I have been single for almost 8 years. And so I have a lot of experience with what we're going to talk about today because I've been dating for a while. And in my non-dating life, I teach people about pleasure and connecting to their bodies. And I do lots of fun things around sensuality and food. And I used to be a chef, but I'm not anymore.
Oh.
Things changed in the pandemic. It was a magical time.
I remember, Amelia, was it last year I had a recipe for cookies that everybody was celebrating.
Yes,
Everybody in a group. We have a secret WhatsApp group.
We do. I love secret WhatsApp groups.
With Amelia. And that's wonderful. Single ladies night today. Elisa.
So I think I've been single more time than I've been in partnership, especially when I was younger. I was not even on the dating scene because I just found it dreadful. Mm-hmm. So I stayed away from all of it until I was 24, possibly until my first boyfriend basically fell on me.
And then on you, like from the sky.
Yeah, something like that. And then I've always been in long-term relationships with a little, moments of dating, going on a dating scene. Is not really my favorite part of life in general. But I pushed myself after my divorce 4 years ago. And I think I had a different approach, which made it more fun. So yeah, I have a little bit of experience on the dating as well.
I'm the newbie then, no? I think I've been single for the last year.
How's it going so far? Can we ask questions?
Yeah.
So that's for our presentation. Do you think whoever wants to answers this? Do you think that the dating panorama has changed a lot between now and the last, let's say, 15 years, when we just finished? I mean, I understand we're different ages, but when we just finished school or we just finished high school, it was different than when we were more mature.
That's a really good question. I mean, I think for me, it's just even over the last 8 years, during the time that I've been divorced, it has changed dramatically, or my relationship to dating has changed dramatically. And a lot around, I think at first when I got divorced, I spent a lot of time kind of getting to understand what had happened in my divorce. There was a lot of processing that I had to do. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand like how to interact with men, with other people. And so I had to do it was a very intensive period of time of I kind of feel like I was wearing a lab coat for most of the time. Like I was a little bit of a scientist and figuring myself out, and then also understanding how people interact in this way and what was important to me. And now it's very different. But some of that is because I spent so much time dating that I started to see patterns and started to see, like, I could start to anticipate after just a couple of messages. Most of the dating I do is online, online. I could anticipate after just a couple of messages how the person was going to behave. And it got to be fun because I was like, oh, wait, I think I know what's going to happen next. So now I've gathered all of this information, and so I'm a rugged, rugged, experienced warrior. And it's not quite so naive and fresh to it.
Well, I totally get that. That most of the dating that you do is in internet, because if not, where? I mean, and also that, like 20, 15 years ago, if you meet someone in internet, is something that you would hide. Maybe you don't tell other people, you don't tell your partners. It's like a big secret. Oh, I met someone in the internet. And now it's like the normal thing. And it's totally, yes, it is normalized. And you can just tell, oh, I met someone in this way, and nobody's going to look at you really strange. Is the thing to do.
Yeah.
Elisa, what do you think?
Yeah, I was the strange one that was already doing online dating 15 years ago. Yes, because the first boyfriend that I said he fell on me, it was literally online. It wasn't online dating. It was just, we had forums at the time of specific topics. So I was in this music forum of the city where I lived at the time, and so it was just we were chatting about music, and then we just met for a beer, and then it started from there. But I remember that I was hiding it, that we actually met online, and then when people asked me, "Oh, how did you meet?" I was like, concerts and things, because I just felt like it just made you feel like a loser at the time. Whereas now it's just like normal. Everybody's swiping. If you don't swipe, you're not cool. And it's just like a game, And in terms of, so that's one thing that changed for sure. And I think another thing that changed, I'm not entirely sure if it's, something that changed that, that speaks about the times that we live in, or if it's an age thing, I think there was less movement, let's say, in the water. So there were less fish, let's say, fishes in the water. So there were less possibilities, less social, apps, swiping apps and dating apps and all of it. But there was more attention, I think, from both people. So there was more care when you were going on a date from both people. And I don't know if the two are interconnected potentially. Then the other thing, I think that the horizon as well of dating expanded itself. Like at the time, you could, really just meet the people in your city or in your county or in the neighborhood. Whereas now I can potentially date across the ocean. So that's just, it gives you like an infinite pool of potential partners that is really, really cool and exciting. But maybe on the other hand is making people less interested, or having people putting less attention into what they're doing with the other person, because, oh, whatever, it's just another person and I have the whole world just in my, in my hands. That's what I can think of.
I think I might be guilty of that, actually. Absolutely. We all yeah, absolutely.
Let's go for some music now. This is from YouTube star Jonathan Mann, and it's called Obsessed with Love.
At the bottom of the swamp where the muds grow, it's a pocket of light that's set to explode. When it does, the concentric rings will touch everybody and give them wings to fly. Wings to fly. Afraid of what might come in a thunderstorm or a drummy drum. But Tefe feels a little like the leaf being blown about all along the breeze. heck. All you can do is do your best to be kind to everybody and get obsessed with
And with lockdown and so much online dating and the rising of dating coaches and YouTube dating coaches and books about dating and telling women what to do, there is so much information and so much confusing information. Some of them I collected it. Information like don't text first, wait to the man to text first. And stuff of the kind that you have already checked out. So, what do you think of that kind of things? I can recall specific things, so we can get into specifics. Like, you don't want to cover too much skin, but you don't want to show too much. You don't want to dress too prudish, but you don't want to dress too sluttish. You don't want to be too clumsy, but you don't want to be too overconfident. Overconfident, you don't want to be too revealing. Just dress cute. And
it's like sanitizing women, just like, or a cookie cutter, I think you call it, version of a female. There's just one good version of being a female, and it's just that perfect size that fits in between those two opposites. There's just one right way of being. It's as if there's only also one version of men out there who's just looking for that specific type of, there's going to be men who love clumsy women because they find them adorable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's going to be men who don't like sluttish women, and there's going to be men who love sluttish women, not because they want to treat them as whores, but because they adore them as they are, and they respect them. There's
I
all
love
sorts
that.
Of,
is it okay to ask a guy out? I mean, I know the answer, but I want to hear from you.
I ask people all the time, and I'm frequently the person sending the first message because I have a rule. Like, I have a rule for myself, and that is, if I make the match, I send the first message. So if I've swiped and then it turns out that they had already swiped first, then the match is made, and it feels like, well, if I made it, then I could go ahead and be like, hi. It seems weird to make the match and then just wait for something to happen. And it depends. It depends. But most of the time, that's my rule. I think that those rules, the dating coach rules, are insane.
I want more women to listen to this. I want more women to listen to this. They're not going to scare the guy out. If he doesn't get back to you, maybe it's not because it's not your fault because you wrote to him. Well, they're making women feel guilty, and they're making women feel bad to think it's their fault because they talk to him. It really, like, I want to scream when I hear those rules, because they're designed, it's all a double bind. You can't win either way. And so it's a recipe for the smush, and it's a recipe for not being able to do anything like authentically, or like, it's crazy if you're having to interpret or having to filter any action through a list of rules, of somebody else's rules. You can have your own rules for yourself, but before you do anything, then how would we ever do anything? It's insane. However, you said the smush, but I suppose that most people who are listening don't know what the smush is. Who would like to explain it? Come on. We know what the smush is. Because we got the same training.
Right. What I mean by the smush is when I'm feeling tugged in so many different directions that I don't know what to do, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm stuck. Like that feeling of being stuck and not knowing what to do, and also not even really knowing what I feel, where everything is just a mess. And that's what I think of. So
it's also an easy way of losing yourself, because you're just trying to follow rules or directions that come from an outsourced whatever authority that tells you that that's what you're supposed to be doing, and you lose yourself following that's why you get confused. You don't know who you are anymore because you're trying to fit yourself into a mold that somebody else is doing for you. And then the result of that is also that you end up maybe being liked by more people, but are you going to like those people who are coming after you? Because everybody's you're gonna be pleasing everybody, but that following those rules is not going to send to you the people who are truly right for you, who are going to be able to appreciate who you are.
Absolutely. I always thought in this be hard to get thing, that if you become that, be hard to get and cold and distant to get someone, then you have to keep up with that.
Yeah. Exactly, that's the point.
You have to keep up and being hard always and talk to other people instead of doing that. If you're affectionate, then you can't allow yourself to be really who you are and keep up with that. Actually, I had my text. It comes almost literally from someone who said, "Don't text him first. Don't call him first. Be classy. Make a list of conversation topics." I like, be classy. Really,
but what if am I allowed not to be a classy person and not?
No.
Maybe I don't want to date a classy person. Even just the fact that there's a dating coach that gives you a set of rules is just ridiculous.
Hard to get.
To me, the dating coach should be somebody that empowers you to go out there and feel confident in expressing who you are, and in feeling confident in, meeting new people. There's no excuse the language, but there's no rules for that. It's about empowering who you are.
Yeah.
When I started dating online again, because I will take like long breaks where it feels good to just shut everything down. But this last time, which started, I think, in November of 2020, I decided that I would only do anything. And actually, this is part of a broader experiment. Like 2 years ago, I decided to only do things that were in my pleasure. And so I've applied that to dating as well. I've applied that to my experience online. It means that I have to check with myself all the time. I only do things that are in my pleasure. So I don't have bullshit conversations, because like as soon as I'm not enjoying it, I stop, or I check, like, do I want to keep talking to this person? Yes, no. And then I follow that. I follow what's most alive. And I think that can like get rid of most of those rules. If we're centered in our pleasure, if everyone, including men, including everybody, absolutely everybody who's dating is just staying very connected to what feels alive for them and what feels pleasurable, then I mean, to me, that makes sense. Like then everything, all the interactions are going to be juicier. And then I don't get stuck in things that I used to get stuck in quite often, where I would be like, oh, I don't know that I really want to go out with this person, but I'm going out with them anyway. If I don't want to do something now, I don't do it. It sounds crazy to say that. And a little bit embarrassing to say that I went out with people that I didn't really want to go out with, but now I don't. And now my reasons for going out with somebody aren't even that I necessarily really want to go out with them, but maybe somebody asks me and I think, is that something I would like to do on Thursday? Yeah, it is. Do I think they're interesting? I don't know if it matters that I think they're interesting, but it would be fun to do something on Thursday. That feels pleasurable. That feels alive. And then when I'm in a place of like feeling enthusiastic about whatever I'm doing, that makes me more curious about people. That makes me more open to things. And then it's fun. It's fun no matter what. If I'm staying attached to like what feels pleasurable, what feels good, then it's great. I don't know. I don't know why I said I don't know. I do know it works. That's what I do. And it's made a huge difference in my experience.
Amelia, I understand that then your aim is just to flow with it and to follow your own pleasure. and not necessarily to find a partner or find a lover or find a friend, or you have a specific aim when you date?
Okay, so I'm going to tell my secrets.
Tell your secrets.
I know, I'll tell my
Not
secrets.
that nobody listens.
Okay, I know. I hope nobody hears this.
Yeah, no.
So when I started in November this last time, it was partially an opportunity for me to undo some good girl conditioning, because I realized that in many ways, like I've gotten rid of obligation in my life and the way that I interact with people and with situations. I do things from a much more, I guess you could call it an empowered place. But I realized that when it came to dating, I was still like pretty stuck in some behaviors. And so I thought, well, Tinder would be a great place to practice some of this stuff. Because there's specific, just to practice exactly that, being very connected to pleasure and what feels alive. And so I started with that intention. It was like an opportunity to practice a little bit of a social experiment where I was the subject, not other people. So it started with, having a conversation with a man and noticing like, wow, I'm not really enjoying this. And then the next day, he said, hey, we have such great chemistry. We should definitely check this in person and have dinner. And I noticed in my body this reaction where I was like, ooh, I don't think we have good chemistry. It's such a weird thing to say based on this very non-chemical conversation we've had. And I noticed also some panic that came up about like saying no. And so I sat with it, because that's the other nice thing about online dating is you can take your time. I can pace myself and like really pay close attention to like what feels good for me. And so I took a deep breath and I sent him a message and I said, I disagree. Thank you for the invitation, but I'm not interested. And I wish you good luck. And then I took another deep breath, because I was bracing myself for the reaction, because often, that's where so much of this good girl conditioning comes from, is the fear of the retaliation, of like because people can be mean when they're hurt, when they're rejected. And I took a deep breath and it was fine. He said, okay. And that was it. And that's not always happened. Like there have certainly been a couple of not very nice interactions, but then I also get to be curious about it and ask them questions if that feels good to me. So it started out as this experiment. And then as I was going through it, I met people who were interesting, that I actually really wanted to date and to go out with. And so I started doing that as well. And it was very much kind of just in the flow of things. And in that space of like paying attention to pleasure and what feels alive, I realized recently, I was like, oh, I would like a partner. So it's changing. And we'll see how it goes.
Thank you, Amelia. Elisa, do you have something to comment before we go for a song?
I think it's interesting because I've had probably the opposite as Amelia. So I've always gone into dating with the aim of finding a partner. But at the same time, it wasn't, oh, let's see if this person is going to be the person I'm going to spend the next 10 years with, or something like, I wasn't that attached to the outcome. So the goal was to find it's always been to find the partner, because I've always been more into stable partnership than anything else. But at the same time, I wasn't going there with the strict expectation. I was going there with the openness, just to see, okay, this is a human being and I'm just having a conversation with this human being. Let's see who this person is. And, so it's interesting to hold, because I think oftentimes whatever we're looking for, whether it's just dating for the fun of it or a partner, we end up easily being stuck and attached to that specific outcome, and that takes away from the openness. So it was actually interesting to going into dating knowing what I wanted, but at the same time being open to what was there without, I wasn't scanning the person in front of me, trying, almost like a facial scan, trying to figure out the features, if it was a good match or anything like that. It was just like, okay, I'm here because I want a partner, but let's see who you are, and maybe we're going to become friends. And the cool thing is that I've found a lot of friends like that, and very, very cool people. It's the openness without the attachment to that outcome that brings out the best in people, I think, because they can feel on the energetical level that there's no pressure of the expectation from you, and that helps them to open up as people. So you see them with a wider spectrum of who they are than you would see if you are laser focused on, trying to tick off, things off a list to your partner. And that is, they've been just really fun, interesting nights out with people who have then become my friends, really.
Oh my God, I agree with so much of that. Yes.
I had the experience of, similar to Elisa, not going to date. Different to everybody, I think. Just go there and meet the person that I was curious about, and then figure out what is it that I feel like doing with that person. What's the role? What is it? And sometimes it was, I felt I didn't have an energy, like it's not an erotic energy, but hey, you're single, I'm single, you're fun to talk with. Would you like to go for a drink again some other day? And that's good enough. And that's good enough, especially after the pandemic and after being isolated for so much time. So I think people appreciate being appreciated just for who they are, and not necessarily for because if there's no attraction, but there is a nice interpersonal communication. Sometimes that's good enough, and making use of internet to connect with others has also been very nice. And I have enjoyed lovely conversations and met lovely people. So yes, that has been special. Of course,
I almost feel that we need a new. We need to find a new name for dating, because I think even just the term dating puts some
What's
pressure.
The meaning of dating?
Well, because dating is always related, maybe not to finding necessarily a long-term partnership or anything like that, but there's still there. I think there's still that kind of romance, quote unquote romance element. Whereas, there's still some pressure, I think, attached to it.
Okay,
whereas
because we're not, because it's my second language. Dating, I just mean date.
No, dating is perfect.
Calendar.
Dating is perfect. That really the English language maybe needs a new terminology for what we're doing right now.
So if you say I'm dating, it means that you have a romantic interest in that person. Is it?
Well, you're exploring, right? If there could be something.
So can you be dating various people? Is it?
Yes.
You can. I can see her.
You like tasting, when you're at a wine tasting, you're like tasting something like that,
I'm tasting. You can see that. I'm tasting.
I'm tasting.
Like the wine. Okay, so we're going to leave it here for now. Thank you very much, Amelia and Elisa, and I hope to have you back again.
Yay!
We'd love to.
Would love to. Yeah, that was fun.
Bye.
Bye.